wanted to do a quick kind of update video. I'm still working on the Whispering Ice build, gathering some of its gear. A few other things kind of here you can start seeing. I'm starting to gather high ES, high int items, a few other things. This character is also doing the same, which is kind of why I rolled a toxic green so I could farm the currency that I'll need and the items. So that is still on the works. This past week's has kind of got really caught up with me on other things, mainly work. But I wanted to just stop in, show everybody. Basically, it's just toxic rain kind of scenarios there. I do have one thing where the phantasmal toxic rain is going to be able to do 11. Once I can get one rolled with 23% quality, it'll do 11 shots. And I've played it with 10. The nice thing, if you play Toxic Rain with 10 shots, you obviously don't need Mirage at all. Because one shot clears or hits the entire screen. But it does have some single target, but it's not bad issues. Mainly because the shots are so far apart. Now, it's basically just a standard Toxic Rain build. Try and jack things up. I'm still waiting on my Empower 4. But I did want to talk about a couple other little things or changes with some skills. So in our cast with damage, we use Frost Shield, cast with damage. This I'm just kind of leveling, needed the skill slot or the gem slot. An Immortal Call. Frost Shield is amazingly strong skill. At this level, it's going to give us 330 maximum life, or it gains itself 330 for each stage. Picks up about 4 stages in under a second, which gives us 1200 extra effective life on top of our current life pool. As it's going to take 60% of that damage from everything coming out and reducing it. What I find that it's best for is mitigating super high damage spikes. When you're not expecting, a huge barrage of, 52 projectiles coming in all at once. They all hit you. The first 1 or 2 pops it. It starts immediately giving you 60%. Our Immortal Calls, then lowering everything by 30%. So basically we're just knocking all of our damage down by 90% off of what we would normally take. It's so super strong, super powerful, and Frost Shield all the way leveled to like level 20 is just unbelievable, which is what I'm doing on my Whispering Ice build. The other aspect is Void Sphere is another amazing, and we'll kind of cover this a little bit, another amazing skill added this league. I have mine set up to basically be my full utility, because we don't really need to trip Elemental Equilibrium as Toxic Rain. No point. So we don't need Lightning or Cold or something like that to trip that. So we don't need to run Stormbrand or Orb of Storms or something to proc EE. So we'll run Void Sphere, Culling Strike, which is super nice because anytime you can just kill an enemy 10% life quicker, that's fine. Hex Touch, we're doing Blind and Despair. Once I get a 6-link chest, I'll either run Second Wind or some other, or dual. Once I get a Awakened Hex Touch, I'll put in Temp Change. So then we'll basically, and if you watch my other videos on Whispering Ice, or Ice Storm, you'll see that Void Sphere plus Temp Change basically means nothing gets to move on the map. Especially once you quality Void Sphere, because it has almost the entire map radius when it does. So at that point everything gets so slow, and then this adds on top of that. So the hindered of 40% reduced movement speed, plus the slow that Temporal Change puts on them, basically means nothing can move out of the way. Also, surprisingly, because it does physical and chaos damage and Toxic Rain focuses on physical and chaos, it actually does its own decent amount of DPS just on its own. It's strong enough to clear white packs and some blue by just dropping it and then just running on by. Which is where, if it wasn't for the temp change or until I get the awakening and can run the temp chains, that second wind might be helpful. So really super strong. Also, it just means you don't have to, because of its hit radius being so large, you don't have to like constantly keep trying to curse bosses. And then of course Culling Strike constantly every like 0.4 seconds ticking, and the second that it runs out of time, you basically have it right back up to throw back down again. So, and I'll show you kind of what that looks like a little bit, and hopefully they don't nerf this, because it is a godsend in a Cassia map, because you can basically just freeze all the enemies on one spot while you rain down a ton of damage on them. Super helpful in Legion, because when everything's in statue mode, it just pulls them all together. So yeah, lots of options. There's a few alterations to Void Sphere in Heist. One makes it do more damage, so basically it ticks twice as fast, so it pulses every 2 seconds. The other is less duration, but like half duration, but half cooldown. So you can kind of get away with casting them more often if you're using them for more of a utility aspect like this, where I don't really need I'm not using it for damage. I really just want to use it for positioning aspects, so I just want it up for a few seconds, then up for a few seconds over here, and up for a few seconds there. That's probably the most useful one. And then the other one, I believe, really raises its area effect and damage. Not so much the damage, but I think it really impacts how much it's doing over time by its area and stuff. So super powerful skill, super amazing skill, makes for an amazing utility skill. And the one advantage to this over Stormbrand or Arc, if you don't need the EE kind of style proccing, is it gives you every pulse hits anything in its range. There's no arcing that has to happen or occur. There's no chaining limits and things like that, so it'll hit everything in the entire area, which is really nice. I'll run a quick map here. Nothing too special, just a T16 laboratory. Kind of give you an idea what this looks like. We're running Vile Clarity, Vile Discipline for boss fights, just to keep our mana. We have Wither Totems. It's your typical build. I'm more just wanting to show you the advantages of having the Void Sphere, because as you can see, it reaches, with just 2% reaches here. When you get it to max quality, it reaches the entire screen basically. As you can see, it's just kind of a nice frost shields, damage protection, lasts for a long time. I don't think it gets, I think that's flat damage. I mean, I don't think there's, on its life and its durability, it's lasting a lot longer than what you would assume it would. So I don't know how its proverbial resist work regarding the amount of damage it's taking from skills and spells. Because, you know, if I took that kind of hit that it's absorbing through, it's way more than 1200 life. If we just stand here, well, see, that made it pop, because well, it's a Stygian, because of course it would. The other thing too is it's got a relatively quick cooldown. So it's up often enough to be useful. You don't have to worry about it being down most of the time. Anytime you really need it, it'll be there. Now, and for some builds, having the crit advantage on top is key. This build obviously being a pure damage over time build doesn't benefit from that. But yeah, it's just nice having that void sphere, and makes it a super nice utility for heist. As most of you know, you open a door in heist, and the first thing that you end up encountering is a wall of people behind that door. You can actually pull people through the door and onto your toxic ring. So it's huge. Like I said, you can see where Breath Shield's not an end-all to just sit and tank. This is not what it's ever really been. It's more of, I like to say, kind of almost like having another Immortal Call, or kind of like a caster's version, might be the better way of saying it, of Steelskin. Because that's kind of how it more operates. It's just, but for somebody that's a high ES build focus versus a life kind of structure. So that's about it for this build. Just know that I'm kind of using it to buy a lot of the stuff that I needed for Whispering, because they overlap, being both that they're both ES builds, and both of them can make a high advantage of high-end items and high ES. So it's been kind of one build to fund the other, where they're duplications. So also the jewels that I mentioned for the Ascendant and the ES, the Cold Masteries, and the
Just need a moment.
split personalities are finally actually showing up on the market, so I'll start buying into those. This character's pretty much geared at this point for what I'm going to gear him for. I could go a lot more with a lot more min-max. I'll probably get the Empower because it's going to help the other builds as well. So once I get the Empower and everything's taken care of there, I'll switch over back to my Whispering Ice build and finish it out, because I think it's going to be really, really strong, especially with the Watcher's Eye that gives you ES per hit. I still see that being a strong option, but I want to try it since we're now capped to just 5 Ice Storms to make sure we still have enough DPS. So, kind of a real quick video. We'll kind of jump back into things and get a few more videos going on the more routine and those kinds of things. If anybody wants to know on the MTXs that I'm wearing, basically I have Ivy Arc Bow, and then I decided to run the Malice basically, so Malice Helmet, Body Armor, the Malice Cloak, the Angelic Character Effect, a few others. The Autonomous kind of looks good. You can go with Celestial, kind of gives you this daunting, haunted look, kind of a black and red. The Corsair kind of shows up a little bit, doesn't really work well. Never been a huge fan of this one, the Council. The Fire looks really good on, and is a fairly cheap one at this point. Fire looks good on Malice with how it kind of swirls around a bit. Ice can give you a bit kind of that counter glowing look. Mana cores, never really been that good. I mean, it's a good one if you want some additional ground coverage. But then Ultimate Chaos just gives you that black burn. So, but I've been kind of running with the Angelic there. And then Pandemonium Portal kind of goes well with it. I do have the Fire Horns. I looked at doing some other eyes, see if any of the eyes played. They don't come through. Maybe dueling with the ice horns or another piece of horns. Maybe a mohawk. Nothing really kind of set out too much for fitting well. That one kind of does. With the horns, kind of gives you almost like a cyclopean blue eye. So lots of interesting fun stuff there for the MTXs. But that's the one I decided to run with. And I don't have the MTX for Toxic Rain, but I have seen the Lotus and it does look pretty good. Skill wise, we just have a few of the Angelic Aura, Celestial Auras, and Immortal Call effect. I like this one and this one, the Huntsman and the Angelic, because they do a big burst when they go off. And actually Huntsman leaves a dot above your head during the entire effect. So what ends up happening is when you get hit with it, you'll get an orb, and it makes it really easy to tell what your duration is for your Immortal Call, because it stays there, the orb stays there until Immortal Call is off, which is really helpful. Well, that'll do it for this video. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll get some more videos going here shortly. Sorry for the kind of small hiatus, just been a little crazy. Alright, thank you.